A good Saturday morning as we take a look at the latest sheep and goat numbers coming from the USDA. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. Well, as we compare to last week, traditional slaughter lambs were 4 lower. Others were 10 to 30 higher. Slaughter ewes were firm to 10 higher. Feeder lambs were not well tested. At San Angelo, Texas, 1,777 head sold in a weather-shortened sale. And Equity Cooperative Auction sold 830 feeder lambs in Utah. In direct trading, slaughter ewes and lambs were not tested. First to the Sioux Falls Regional Market. This is in Worthing, South Dakota. They had a total of 1,187 head selling. That included everything from cattle to sheep and goats. But their feeder lambs, none they had available. Sheep slaughter lambs at 31.3%. That was 372 head. Replacement sheep and lambs at 139. Slaughter goats at 130. And there were no replacement goats available. Really called it a light sale in part because of those bitterly cold temperatures and snowy roads that covered the area. For lambs in the 100-pound range were $4 lower. Short supply of ewes at no comparison to be given. Next week, expect another large run of bred ewes there. Nice offering of quality goats as well, bringing a premium. Supply included 46% on those slaughter numbers for the cattle, 31% for the slaughter sheep and lambs. The breakdown, 69% are wool and shorn, 6% were hair breeds, 23% were ewes, 1% were hair ewes, and 2% were bucks. 12% replacement sheep and lambs, 100% were ewes, 11% slaughter goats, 91% kids, 4% nannies and does, 2% were bucks and billies, with 4% of those being wethers. Head now over to the sale in Kelowna, Iowa. This would have been from Wednesday the 17th. They had 1,030 head of slaughter sheep and lambs, replacement sheep and lambs at 158 head, and slaughter goats at 262 head. Now, compared to the last report 2 weeks ago on the 3rd, slaughter lambs were firm, hair lambs were stronger, slaughter ewes were stronger, hair ewes were stronger, slaughter bucks were firm with a stronger undertone. Slaughter kids were 10 higher, nannies were 20 to 25 higher, billies were firm, wethers were 10 higher. Trade activity was good demand for both sheep and goats. The supply included 71% slaughter sheep and lambs. A breakdown is 49% wool and shorn, 45% hair breeds, 2% were ewes, 4% were hair ewes, no bucks or hair bucks. 11% replacement sheep and lambs, 76% were ewes, 24% were hair ewes, 18% were slaughter goats. That breakdown is 16% kids, 22% nannies and does, 3% were bucks and billies, and 59% were considered wethers. In the wool and shorn on those slaughter lambs, here's 11 head that averaged 53 pounds. Will bring an average price of $341.04. 112 head that averaged 73 pounds would bring $297.72. In the hair sheep, 83 head averaging 55 pounds at $329.95. Let's look and see what some of those goat numbers were available. The kids, here's 21 head that averaged 58 pounds will bring $215.71. 9 head that averaged 86 pounds at $211.03. Here's 3 head at 48 pounds, average $120 on the price. Nannies and does, 18 head that average 123 pounds were at $188.46 for those sales out of Iowa. Well, the week of the lamb and the veal retail activity index was at 28.53% lower. A feature rate was unchanged, and a special rate was about 0.2% lower. Lamb cuts on offer were 34.1% lower. Looking at the roast offerings at 66.67% lower, while chop offerings were at 21% lower. That's a rundown to what was seen in the numbers from the USDA. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network.